kysymykset sekaisin ja kaikki on paskaa. Hyvä. Elikkä vetoja. Hi guys, it's Tumtse and this is... Yeah! We don't care because we're here for something more important. Something... far greater than life. In other words, today we're checking out Crash Bandicoot 3. Yes, finally! The third and the last game of the original platformer trilogy made by Naughty Dog. I will be totally honest, this video is going to be very biased. After all, this is one of my favorite games ever made. I wish there could be a way to count all my hours put into this game, let alone the whole PS1 Naughty Dog catalog. This is my go-to game when I want to have a fun gaming experience, including all categories and all of the consoles. I'll forever cherish the memories I made by playing the game with my older sister and younger brother, or with my friends, when we were competing on who would get the platinum relic times first, or switching the controller when someone died mid-stage. Nostalgia! So if you hate this game or do not like it, then this might not be the video for you. Or if you hate this game, then I'm really concerned for you. Still, the game is not perfect, so I'm going to bring up stuff that I do not enjoy that much. So don't worry, I'm not going to suck this game dry. But without further ado, let's start with the story. The warped story starts where we left off from the second game. This time the game expects you to have beaten the second game 100% because that game's Cortex Vortex has been destroyed and is heading straight down. But if you didn't finish the game completely, then what made the Cortex Vortex to be in that condition? Maybe Engine forgot to turn off the Mocha Master and it exploded. I don't know. The vortex smashes into the ground and...
free at last.
So yeah, this time the story is much darker by the tone. When I was a silly little scaredy pants, I used to skip the whole intro because it really got under my skin for some reason. And one moment particularly. I think you already know what I'm talking about. Back to the plot, Aku Aku talks to himself about the voice everyone heard and mentions the name Uka Uka, and everyone runs inside scared. At the same time, in the middle somewhere, we get to see the main villain for the first time, who Aku Aku name dropped a second ago, and I need to praise Naughty Dog for making Uka Uka seem extremely menacing. No wonder Cortex is pretty much shitting himself. Wait, what? So what we find out is that Cortex has been working for Uka Uka all along, and Uka Uka is the mastermind for all that we worked so hard against. Cool story, but I can't help but think that if Uka Uka has been locked in prison for many eons, then how he and Cortex ever met in the first place? Cortex just happened to stumble upon to the temple and had a chat with Uka Uka to pretty much conquer the world. If yes, then why didn't Cortex release Uka Uka then? It would have needed only a couple of TNT crates and there you go. Or did Uka Uka just go through a phone book of villains and FaceTime Cortex and somehow convince him to send Newt, to work for him? I mean, the story is alright, and this time it's much more interesting, because now you don't know what's going to happen straight away, but it does raise a few questions on how all this happened.
It was that infernal Bandicoot.
Yeah, fair point. Moving on. So now that Cortex has failed too many times, Uka Uka has gotten some backup for his plans. And I'll just show you the clip that I was talking about being pretty intimidating for young vulnerable Tumtse.
There is still a way for us to amass the power needed to enslave this miserable planet. And this time the great Uka Uka will make sure that you do it right.
Help! Oh my lord, what a delivery. It immediately sets the tone that now we're really fighting something truly evil, and it's not just kids play anymore. Well, it's a kids game, but f*** you. So the person with caffeine overdose is Entropy, who created this whole hub world, which works as a time machine. The PS1 graphics really make the whole thing so uneasy that no wonder I used to skip the whole thing. Luckily now I'm a big boy and it won't affect me anymore at all. Back to the Bandicoot hut, Aku Aku tells the crew that the voice everyone heard was the evil twin Uka Uka, talk about family issues, and that he got released by the Cortex Vortex crashing down. Well, now when you think about it, it is pretty much our fault because we did shoot down the whole thing, so yeah. Guess we'll clean up our mess.
He must be stopped.
Oh, sweet! Polo is here from the Crash 2. Can't wait to get to ride with him again. So that's about it. Plot has a few head-scratching moments, but still is the most solid and enjoyable from the first 3 games. Should we start playing then? So like I mentioned, the Entropy's invention time machine works as a hub world for the game. The gist is pretty much the same as in Crash 2, but now you don't have to move up and down to progress. Now the world is much larger and works much more faster, and it doesn't slow the pace of the game down. So an upgrade in my opinion. And now, as we're literally in the time machine, there's even more variety to the stages than previously. The stages vary from the medieval stages to the Cretaceous, 60s America, Arabian Nights, Pirates of the Caribbean, China in the middle of making the war, and many more. Hell, I even realized this only just by making this video. In the water stages, if you look closely, you can see what I think it is Atlantis. I always thought that these were just mandatory water levels without any thought put into them, but now they fit to the time machine theme nicely. It took me over 20 years to notice this. What a nice detail. Still hate these levels though. And what I adore is that in the Cortex Strikes Back shots, even though you had more variety into the stages, it really did feel like they were just copy-pasted on design, as they looked maybe too similar. In this game, while you still are going through the same basic design, now the stages are different by the weather, time of the day, or they have some other elements to them to make them stand out on their own. And of course the stages get harder as you progress, including the different design, so every stage stands out and are memorable. So memorable in fact that you remember every Easter egg Naughty Dog left for the stages. For example, how you get the dinosaur to chase you early so you can casually stroll at the end of the stage. How you can become a minimum wage worker in ancient Egypt by dropping the stones from the ceiling by yourself. Or how you can make the frog unalive itself by just standing still. It really shows how much they put their effort and love into the 3rd game with these details. And they really thought about the player and their customer while making this masterpiece. And for Crash, it's pretty much the same as last time. Don't fix what ain't broken. Everything is here like last time. Jump, spin, belly flop, slide. Even the slide spin jump is working in this game, so yeah, good stuff. There are only slight changes with Crash's character design, mainly with some coloring and with his shadow, as now it's a proper modelization compared to the previous game's Stain. I think the only thing that was changed while controlling Crash is his jumping. Going straight from Crash 2 to 3 felt a bit awkward at the beginning, as Crash felt a bit floaty, but I completely forgot about it after a couple of stages, so nothing too shocking. Well, I lied, it was not the only thing that changed with his controls and moveset, but I'll talk about that a bit later. So the game is pretty much Crash 2 with new story and looks, but doesn't it make it a bit boring and repetitive if it's just the same game all over again? Well, you could make that argument if you don't play the game, but I can assure you that it's not the case. The game feels even more alive and there's always something happening in the stages. You visit new areas you've never been before in previous games and places you've only read from the history books. Well, of course, if you're not into that kind of stuff, it doesn't excite you, but in that case, I feel sorry for you. Crash 3 also feels much more fast-paced. Like mentioned, the hub world is much faster to navigate through, but also enemies are faster. There are these crates that require you to be quick to break them, or they'll turn solid for the rest of the stage. And also the bouncy wumper crates are turned to 5 jumps, compared to the Crash 2's 10 jumps. It may sound pretty insignificant, but it makes the boxes worth getting the proper way, as it does not pause the flow of the game that much like previously. The whole meaning to the time machine is that Cortex and the gang are going back in time to collect the power crystals, as Crash collected them all from the present time in the previous game. And so that the crystals are back, so are gems, and there are 45 of them this time, so quite a lot to collect. 45 of those gems include yet again 5 color gems and are obtained by going through death routes or specific branching paths, and at the last stage there is the gem route where you need all the colored gems to obtain a clear gem, like previously. Last time the colored gems were behind secrets, and for some reason they kinda got rid of that idea. There are still secrets in this game, but in my honest opinion they're not great. Well, as they're not great, luckily there's only 2 main secrets that gets you to unlock stuff. The first one being this road sign that you have to hit in order to get to a secret level, and for the other you firstly have to get the yellow gem, then you go to a dinosaur level where you need to go to the yellow gem path, and in there you need to die by the specific pterodactyl to get to the secret level. Okay. Whether the secrets are good or bad, it doesn't matter, as the main game is incredible! The platforming is amazing, there's more to do, the stages look amazing, and there are also a lot more vehicle sections as well. You get to ride a motorcycle, a plane, interesting graphic choice, underwater jet, a tiger. Whoa, what? What are you doing here? Hello? There's a woman on the loose. As a new introduction in Crash 3, Coco is now also a playable character. Unfortunately, she does not get her own platforming stage, as she is only available in her own specific stages that are just vehicle based. But still a clever and fun way to make the stages to stand out and look different, as the controls would have been same either way if it's Crash or Coco. Also, it might be better if Coco is the one with animal riding this time, as Crash has a tendency to be a bit weird with animals. Coco looks like she's already fed up with the situation. Well, Crash does eventually get to mount a dinosaur, but this time he's not making any funny suggestions towards it. After all, it's only a babe. And do I have to mention that the vehicle sections are amazing? Well, yes, you have to. The planes are a bit slow to be honest, but because there are so many minions flying all over the place, it's still not boring even though it's slow. Underwater jet fishing thingy is amazing with its one extra hit point, its dash, and more importantly, the missiles, as they give you enormous advantage in... as they give you enormous advantage in the water. But with the missiles, you can get boxes that are otherwise unreachable. The motorcycling stages were my favorite as a kid, but they are a bit stiff and nowadays won't give me the satisfaction they used to. And for the Coco stages, they are both amazing. The water jet feels just right, and it's so sad that all the fun that these stages had were taken away in the remake. And the tiger riding stages, oh my god, they look fantastic, the controls are tight, you can go fast or slow depending on how you want it. They're just awesome, alright? I've intentionally left out a crucial gameplay mechanic because I wanted to dedicate a full segment for it. The bosses. In Crash 3, the bosses are the best out of every Crash game, even including the newer ones. There are 5 hub worlds like previously, with added secret hub worlds, so naturally there are 5 boss encounters. They're fun, fast-paced, not that hard, but not the easiest either, and you don't have to wait something to happen this time, thank f***. Also, the bosses interact with you as you progress through the stages, by taunting you and being hostile while you're trying to foil up their plans. It's a great way to get to know the bosses and the feelings towards you before you face them on one-on-one fights. Also, you get to know the personality a bit more. For example, when Cortex is speaking, you can see Uka Uka has red steam coming out of his ears. But when Cortex stops, the color changes, implicating that Uka Uka is completely fed up with Cortex, so that he doesn't even want to listen to him anymore. After you clear the 5 stages, there's only one looming platform left that leads you to the boss stage. It's pretty intimidating as you have nowhere else to go other than face what might lay ahead in the other side of the portal. The first one is Tiny Tiger in the ancient Rome, where he tries to jump on you and unleash his lions after you. I think this boss is one that I struggle the most with, as the lions are pretty unpredictable, but yet again it's not a hard fight by any means. After you beat him, you go to a new hub world. I beg your pardon, sir, but I think you may have dropped your eye tag. So how you make the platforming and enemies more fun and challenging if Crash is already at his peak powers? Make him a fucking adventure. In Crash 3, after beating a boss, you're being rewarded with a power-up to help you progress the harder stages. The first one, Super Belly Flop, is pretty meh and extremely situational, but the ones you get after are way more helpful and fun to use. The second boss fight, Dingodile, another new character, gives you a double jump after you beat him, and that one is extremely useful. Add the Death Tornado Spin in the mix you get after beating Entropy, and you'll get the most fun platforming you'll ever encounter. Wait, you beat Entropy as the third boss?
Crash, Coco, you must realize that this time twister machine is very delicate. Without Dr. Entropy's constant care and control, who knows what it will do?
This is actually a great point, Cortex. By beating Entropy, who also created the whole time twister, is now gone, and who sells the ship now? I won't. I don't have a license. It could have been an amazing plot twist for something to happen because of that, as the time twister is now all by itself without any maintenance. And that thought is a bit scary. The fourth boss is Engine, and this time it's Coco's turn for action, as they go to space to have probably the best boss fight in the history of Crash games. It's fast paced, bullets and rockets fly everywhere, it's multiple phased and challenging, but not unfair by any means. After beating him, we get our first example of loose gun control laws, Wumpa Bazooka. As a kid, it was the coolest thing ever, but nowadays it's more like a rare tool to use, as it's a bit slow to handle and the best use to get out of it are boxes placed a bit too far, or these flying saucer enemies. Or to annihilate this chicken. Speaking of enemies, this time there are not that many types of enemies or how to approach them. Pretty much the power-ups make things approachable kind of the same manner. Most notable different approach enemies are the double-headed Karplunts and the spiked mummies where you need a higher jump, and the robots where you need to wait for it to... oh... No wonder Cortex uses these. The fifth and the final power-up you unlock by beating Cortex. The power-up you get are a new pair of Nikes, but what they're for? Well, I can tell you, it's for the new thing called relic races. Or time trials, whatever you want to call them. Did you wonder what the strange looking relics are next to the gems? Well, they are relics, and how you get them. Now that you finish the game and you decide to 100% the game by getting all the gems, by going back to a stage that has been previously cleared from a crystal, a strange clock appears at the beginning of the stage. By touching the clock, all the Wumpa fruits and the lives disappear from the stage, and now you need to speedrun the stage. By using the new boots Cortex kinda gave to you, you can now run like a prime Usain Bolt with endless stamina, or like a Finnish soldier on Pervitin. As all the Wumpa fruits and the lives disappear from the stage, you do not lose any lives if you happen to die in the stage, and I can assure you, you will die. A lot. You see, the faster you are, the better relic you get. The sapphires being the first ones to be handed to you by pretty much getting to the end. The gold ones are a bit more challenging, but after that, they are the sacred platinum relics that are by far the hardest thing to obtain on a Crash Bandicoot platformer on the original trilogy. They are cruel. To get the platinum, you need to have a perfect run, get all the yellow time grades that stop the timer by a second amount the box has, and still, you can barely just make it to the platinum. And now, I have to reveal my darkest secret about this game. Are you ready? Because certainly I'm not. Okay. I do not like time trials. I'm so sorry everyone, but I've tried to enjoy these for over 20 years, but I can safely say that these collectibles are not fun. You can enjoy them as much as you want. Actually, it's great if you find enjoyment out of relics. Enjoy them on my behalf. But I resent them. I've never liked the idea of replaying the same content over and over again. Just a little faster and more stress. Yes, you could argue that I'm bad at the game, and you might be true, but you're still repeating the same levels all over again, and the stress and the rushing makes me hate some part of the stages. For example, the monkey swing sections. If you are dashing and try to hurry to the ceiling, for some reason the dashing makes Crash fall into the bottomless pit, even if the animation clearly locks Crash. They just decide, nah, let him fall. And for that reason, getting the gold ready is just enough for me, because I have to slow my pace down just for these, and getting the platinum is pretty much impossible then. And that is my other complaint, because the times are so hard to obtain and require perfection in the stage. I require perfection from you, game. You cannot expect perfection in the relic races if you yourself don't work properly. And yeah, you could argue that you don't need platinums. Sapphires are just enough to finish the game 100%. While that is true, if you want to fully complete the game 105%, you need to get at least gold relics on every stage. And just getting that is so hard on some stages, god damn it! So, what I end up doing most of the time is I just try to get the gold relics, and if I happen to get a platinum, hell yeah, brother! But I can happily settle with the gold ones, as I'm not that good at the game, and I don't intend to be, as the time trials are not enjoyable in my opinion. I have nothing else to say than sorry. I already know that my opinion might upset someone, but like I said, I've played this game for over 20 years. At that time, I probably know what I do like and what I don't like about this game. And the time trials are just a tiny detail that I do not like. Yeah, you could argue that I could have used that time to get good, but I don't want to waste my precious time to do things that I do not enjoy. The relics are just fine, for example on Crash Team Racing, where you're already going a million miles per hour and trying to rush the game to finish first. But for myself, I'm not a speedrunner. I don't want to be. I enjoy my platformer the most when there's no rush and no stress involved. But it's completely fine for you to like them. My opinion is not fighting intentionally against yours. Now that we can get that out of the way, let's continue as we finish the relics. As you gather the relics, a platform to a secret hub world opens up, which gives you even more stages or routes to get to the gems. You can also see how the cloned minions are being sent to the stages to try to end your progress. I say secret hub world, but to be fair, it's not really secretive, as you can clearly see the platform appear after getting 5 relics, and you cannot get to the other stages with secret measures. You need to unlock them by getting the relics. By getting all the collectibles, the only thing to do is to fight Cortex yet again. The fight is exactly the same as the last time, not any harder, character or new gimmicks, hit him to the hole, and after that you get the real ending, which is way better than any of the endings before and satisfyingly concludes the original platforming story of Crash Bandicoot by Naughty Dog, as they were going to leave the project to seek new challenges. And what a way to end things! Yet again, just over a year after the previous game, Naughty Dog provided the best way to enjoy Crash Bandicoot platformer. Even with my stupid opinions, this is the best Crash Bandicoot platformer to this day. As Naughty Dog didn't need to focus on making the moveset or gameplay better, they could put their full focus on making the stages look as great as they could be, have more cutscenes, and have fully voice acted characters, with the exception of our main character of course. But even without the voice, Crash has more character than last time, more animations including the death animations, which are even more varied than the last time and basically straight from the cartoons from that era. The soundtrack is amazing yet again, not as good as in Crash 2 in my opinion, but the soundtrack is pretty much impossible to top. But what they did better sound-wise this time is that every collectible, crystal, gem, relic has that amazing sound when you collect them. The sound effect makes collecting stuff so much bigger than it's supposed to be. Naughty Dog also brought another new character, Fake Crash, to the series as another Easter egg after you complete the game. Fake Crash was made a joke character based on a Japanese toy, and after these appearances, Crash Bandicoot would even become a playable character. Also a new box count was added to the game that you could bring up anytime mid-stage, so you could be aware of your progression all the time. Trust me when I say this game is one of my favorite games ever made. I've already said that, haven't I? So with these 3 games, Crash really put himself out there as a household name and as an official PS1 mascot. This was really the peak of Crash. But like I said, after this, Naughty Dog was already seeking for other ventures. So Crash was pretty much bound to be handed to another developers. And with PS2 already lurking around the corner, there were definitely changes coming towards our favorite Bandicoot. But luckily Bandicoots live long, so no worries. Wait a minute. Thank you again for everyone for tuning down for yet again another Crash Bandicoot video. I feel I could talk endlessly about these games, and while I was writing the script, I genuinely felt that I don't want it to end, as I love this game specifically so much. I really feel like I want to put out another video as soon as possible, as these videos are so fun to make, and I hope I can put some of that fun out on the screen. If you did enjoy, I promise I will put out at least one video. So while waiting for that, I hope you have a good day or good night or whatever, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!